Hello, I am back again. This is Down to Earth, Nikki. I'm coming to you. It's pretty late. I live on the East Coast, but I'm a night person, so it would have been a struggle for me to do this in the daytime because of the fact that I'm a nocturnal person. So I want to say hello to everyone. Um, and just, saying, I'm coming to you today because I don't, like I said in my introduction, if you go back and see my last video, I don't know how to edit it or, change things to present myself in any other way but myself. So, with that being said, I'm coming to you guys tonight, rather early this morning on the East Coast. It's a little bit after, it's like 2:34 a.m. in the morning. So I know a lot of you guys are in the bed sleep or whatever. But anywho, it's been a few days since I did a video, and I'm coming to you because I've been through a lot in the last couple of days, and it was really, really hard. And like I told you before, I'm only, saying I can only come to you um with the real, or whatever. And but the kind of like a subject what I want to talk about tonight is how to deal with family members. Close family members. We're not talking about family members that you don't deal with every day. We're talking about close family members like kids, maybe your husband, a sister or brother that you deal with on a daily basis or close to a daily basis. And, that's more like a hit home type thing where, how to, you got to know how to deal with it. And my situation is this. I'm dealing with one of my children. Once again, I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but I'm dealing with one of my kids that I have had problems with since they've been since birth almost. And for some reason, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all my kids. God in heaven knows I do. I'm actually very, very close to my kids. I'm very touchy about my kids. And I think that I know that that's one of the reasons why things are so intense with me when it comes to my kids. It's like, especially when they doing things to me. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm not one of those mothers that was born with heavenly behavior kids. And people say, what do you mean by that? No kid is, some kids are just really nice, well behaved, well rounded. You don't have any problems out of them, and you know what I'm saying. And I mean, we're not saying they're perfect, but some people literally have kids where you just absolutely don't have problems with. It's like, I don't have any problems with Timmy, or I don't have any problems with my son David or whatever. I can't say that because I have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. And the ages of my kids are from 22 to 16. And I have had battles with all 4 of them. But I have one that is like always challenging me and everything. And sometimes we as parents, we hold on too tight. And with these new age millennium children, like, I don't know what's wrong with them. It's a difference between my generation and the generation now or whatever. I'm like I said, I'm between old school and new school because I'm more of an old school person. I was born in 1976. I'm not ashamed of me or my age. I was born in 1976. Excuse my shirt. It got a little makeup on, but that's okay. I'm at home. Don't care. Um, I was born in 1976. You know, which I will be, God bless me, I will be 43 years old this year. So when I was raised, I mean, I'm going to give you a little background about how I was raised. My mother had some issues growing up, and we didn't know what it was because, let's be honest, a lot of African American, millions of them, when we was growing up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and part of the 80s, we didn't hear about things like paranoid schizophrenic, ADHD. You know, these behaviors was not. You know, we as black folks, especially people that live in the ghetto, that live in the hood, that live in the projects, and all this other stuff. And you think I'm stereotyping? No, because I'm going to tell you how I know this for a fact. We didn't hear of these diagnoses or anything because uh, a lot of black people don't want to believe that this exists. They just feel like, oh, you know, the method that they used a lot were just beat your kids, whoop your kids. You know, some of them like you. Sometimes you didn't. You know, parents just beat their kids and didn't teach them or tell them why they're getting a spanking. They didn't know what they were doing was wrong. I mean, if you're going to discipline your children, especially with the spanking method, because don't get me wrong, I do believe that some kids do need to be spanked. It is a way to do everything, though. Now, I had a problem with that when I became a mother when I was younger. I didn't know how to do. Now, I was a very good mom to a point. Because you bathe your kids, feed your kids, make sure their hair is combed, make sure that, you know, everything is straight. That don't mean you're that perfect mom, because I did all of that and I didn't think I had a problem until I had my kids taken away into foster care twice. And I bet you saying, "Ooh, that is deep." And you are telling off on yourself. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to tell you, I had my kids taken away because I had an anger problem. I didn't know how bad it was until I spanked one of my kids, and their arm. I hurt their arm, and this the same kid that I hurt their arm when they was little. This is the same kid I'm having problems with today, and they are an adult. And that's when I figured out how bad my upbringing was through me, how I was bringing up my children. And I know you saying that, well, you know, I don't understand. A lot of you that are going to hear this video know exactly what I'm talking about. That is the problem today with a lot. I'm going to direct it to a lot of African Americans. They feel that there's not a problem. Now the problem is so much out of hand around the world with blacks, whites, Mexicans, all of them. You can't even go on Facebook now. And you hear about some parents killing their kids or leaving them in a car when it's 100 and some degrees outside. Now they're putting them in the car with thin pajamas, and it's like 45 below, dangerously cold on purpose. They getting rid of these children because, you know what I'm saying, because it's out of control. And I'm gonna tell you where it went. When I was a little kid, my mom didn't, my mother wasn't scared of the system, the police, anything. My mom had issues. And I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you, my mom had some serious mental issues. We didn't know that there was a mental issue. We just thought, you know, she was just a very scary parent. And, you know what I'm saying? But as I grew older and I started going through therapy and start, you know, having my family or whatever and going down the wrong path, I realized there was something wrong with my family, and there were some serious things wrong with my family, with my upbringing, and everything. And one of the things that you got to recognize in an abuser, I don't care if it's your mother, your daddy, a sibling that's beating another sibling. Abuser can be in anybody, an uncle, auntie, a grandparent, anything. This is the main thing that damaged my mother and my childhood, and I'm still wrestling with a lot of things today. As one was one thing about an abuser, whether they're verbal or physical or both or emotional, abuse is abuse. You be like, oh, he never hit me, or she never hit me. She just used a lot of bad words, and she put me down. She called me stupid, called me every name but a child of God, and all this other stuff. And you feel like, oh, she just that's verbal. That's abuse, even if it's verbal. I would rather for you to hit me than to say some of the things that some people say to to people to hurt them, because words are forever. Even when you apologize for them, they're forever. They are forever. You can remember a fight. Yeah, we had a fight and this person punched me in the face and I punched him back and all this other stuff. Yeah, it hurt, but you heal from that. You hear from some of the blows that hit your body. But words and how you say it, especially to a child, they're forever. They live by those words, especially through a mother, a father. They live. If you keep telling your child, you stupid, you ignorant, you a dummy, you all this stuff, you're never going to make it. Say this and that. Them kids going to grow up, and say all my life, almost every day of my life, all I heard was I'm never going to be in no, I'm not going to be anybody. I'm never going to make it. I'm too stupid to do this, and I'm too dumb to do this, and I'm too dumb to do that. And that's what they're going to hear. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they live by. They live by these words. And I'm telling you this from a personal experience. My mother lived with some really, really bad demons that caused us not to. She isolated us so bad until we didn't know anything about our aunt. We knew we had an aunt and auntie. We knew we had uncles and all this other stuff and cousins and what have you. We did not grow up around them. We grew up off and on around. My mother and my grandmother had bad blood. Come to find out, because they was the same person, and you know what I'm saying, and they were, the same person, so they couldn't stand each other. All I ever heard out of my mother's mouth is, I hate my mom, I hate my mom, I hate my mom. That generation behavior went from my grandmother to my mother to other siblings that became parents. My mother was physically, mentally, emotionally, and I do believe sexually, but she took that to her grave. But I know 3 out of the 4 abuses she went through as a kid, she carried it on to her children. And we carried that on to some of our children. We did. Now, God had another way for me and another route. He did no, you're not going to do this to your children. And some things we do out of ignorance, and some things we do out of just that's just the normacy. Like, if you grew up in an abusive home, that's the normal. Like, we didn't think there's anything wrong with that, how our mother did us or whatever. We were like, that's the norm. That's how my mother knocked me upside my head and all that stuff. But do all that knocking upside the head, what did you learn? Like, okay, she hit, you can't control your parents. They're gonna abuse you. They're gonna do what they want. Because back then, in my time when I was growing up, and when my mom was growing up, we lived by these words: you do as I say, not as I do. That's not the way to raise your kids, honey. If you're still raising your kids like that, please seek God immediately. That's so uneducated. And that is so, and the reason why they said your parents, raise their children like that is for the simple fact they didn't know any better. They wasn't allowed to be educated by sex or my mom didn't sexually educated me through sex or whatever. I learned that through school. If it weren't for school, I would have thought that when I came on my ministry, I was sitting up there dying or something was medically wrong with me. My mother came from the South. She was born, bred, and raised in Mississippi. And everybody that got Southern parents, age 60, 50, 70, 80, y'all know good and well, a lot of them did not, especially the black folks, did not sit down and educate their children about sex and STDs and condoms and birth control and protection and all this other stuff. They did not educate their kids. So we grew up walking around like, if it wasn't for school, trust me, I wouldn't know half of the things that I know today. My mother didn't even tell me, when you had your period, let me know, or, you're supposed to sit down and talk to your girls about this so they can be educated about their bodies. I told my mom, I remember she was on the phone just yapping away to somebody, and she was like, here, I'm going to buy you some pads. That was it. She didn't know I learned about minstrels and stuff from school. When my mom found out that I was taking sex education in sixth and seventh grade, by this time my mother was in church. Oh, dear God. She was in this sanctified church where the leader was not educated at all, and she was a woman. Okay. And she was uneducated from the South as well. So that combined with my mother's mental illness was not a good recipe for parenting at all. My mother would kept saying all night, like, I'm going to take you to the pastor with your lustful self. I'm going to take you to the pastor with your lustful self. And I didn't even know until my mama held the paper up in church. Like she had the paper in her hand and I aced the sex education class. I didn't even realize that was the shape of a penis. I was like, oh, mom. Ooh. I didn't even get it. I was like taking the test and they was, in the sex education class, they give you a picture of the parts of a woman and parts of a man or whatever. And I didn't even know that was a man part until she turned the paper a certain way. And I was like, oh, God, do my mother know what she got in her hand right now? I could say I was just standing like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble, whatever. So I went to a church where they threw off all the time because they didn't know any better. I promise to God. I trust me. I'm gonna tell y'all about that too. So the pastor get up in the service talking about y'all kids are in sex education, and then all the kids in church that was my age said we have to. It is required in the sanctuary. We have to educate them. They want to pull us out of sex ed. No, we had to take the sex education class in order to pass on to the next grade because a lot of teachers and stuff knew that a lot of us wasn't getting this education at home. So I determined when I had my children that my children were not going to be dumb. There was not going to be dumb kids about anything. My kids are very, very smart. And I'm a cutthroat parent. So it's like, no, I'm not going to have my son out there. And my son is 15 years old. And he's the baby, and he's real tall. He's like 5'11". He's not even done growing. But I didn't want my son to be like, duh, on women and the woman and the young girl's body and all this other stuff. I don't want my son to be like that because it's just as your son needs to be just as educated as your daughter. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them is not that, but mine, if they go out there and do anything, they're doing it with their eyes wide open. So back to this. Moving forward, okay, so my daughter, my child that I'm having a problem with, I mean, one thing a parent got to know, you can't win them all. Throughout the years, I'd have had my kids taken in foster care twice. I was devastated and everything. I learned through that though. And they was like, what did you learn? Because a lot of people don't get their kids out of foster care. I loved my kids. I never not love my kids. I just didn't know how to be a good parent in the discipline area. I mean, when they took my kids out the home, their hair was combed, they was neat and clean and stuff like that. But I did not know that was like a cover up for the abuse behavior I had. And people say, oh, that's a cover up. You're supposed to keep your kids neat and stuff. No, the way I was doing it, like I love doing it. I love combing my kids' hair and all this other stuff and making sure they look neat and stuff. But when I did, I know that when I did discipline my kids wrong or whatever, I look back on how I handled it. After I did it, I felt a little bad about it. So, like all abusers do, whether you're abusing your wife, your kids, or whatever, you want to go buy them something nice and stuff and all this other stuff. So I started watching videos and things. I mean, not videos, movies and stuff, how abusers do. And I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't really come to the light until I got older, how much I was an abuser verbally, emotionally, and physically when it came to my children. I didn't know because my mom talked to us like that. You little B. You little this, you little mother ucker, and you know what I'm saying? My mother talked to us like that really bad until she joined the church. Now she got rid of the cussing and all this other stuff, but she was still severely mentally ill. And like I said, we didn't know the signs of it because at the time we was not educated in it. So what I did was excuse me, I'm a little under weather. When my kids were taken away, I went to the anger management. I've been in anger management class twice. Excuse me. I went to anger management. parenting classes, everything. But I didn't just go because it was required, because it is required for you to go to get your children back. I learned a lot. And then I stayed in therapy off and on throughout the years up until now. I stayed off and on into therapy and to learn, what are these behaviors? Why am I this way? Come to find out, because of my abusive upbringing with my mom and a lot of things, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was diagnosed with ADD because I have short attention span. I ain't gonna even lie. I have a very short attention span. If you're talking to me and I'm not into the subject, my mind go off into going grocery shopping, what I need for the house, and all this other stuff. Now I'm so ADD until I can actually listen to you in one ear and still playing out and be like, yeah, I got you. I know how to, do two things at one time because they call it an illness. I think it's a gift because that's something you have to have as a parent. So I learned and educated myself into what was wrong with me, and I accepted it. I didn't fight it. I didn't argue with it. Like today, I have associate people sitting up there saying, "Child, I will bust my kid in their mouth." Okay, fine. If you think that will solve the problem, then go ahead and keep busting your kids in the mouth. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to either change or they're going to start busting other people in their mouth, and the killing and the abuse and all that other stuff is going to continue. The cycle is going to continue. So if you think that is the way to do it, go right ahead. But I'm here to tell you, I'm a living witness. That don't solve anything. That don't solve anything. Only thing you're doing is making your kids to be like you or worse than you. And that was going on with me. You know what I'm saying? I was an abuser to my children. You know what I'm saying? I love my children and I knew but I wasn't showing them any love. It was like I wouldn't, I would make sure when they was babies and stuff, I took care of my kids. They didn't want for anything, but I wasn't there. And that's because my mother was not an affectionate person. So you think that's normal. And it's not normal. Your kids need you. And after I went through hell and hot water to get my children back, you know what I'm saying? The second time, I vowed to myself, I said I would never go back to jail. I went to jail twice for my children. Almost lost my kids because of my behavior. I wasn't a drug addict. I wasn't anything like that. Nothing like that. Not at all. But it was always room for improvement. You know what I'm saying? You will never be the perfect parent. Don't get me wrong. That's not going to happen. Perfect parent does not exist. Perfect children do not exist. You do the best you can. And when you feel like you're you know what I'm saying, you're getting angry and all this other stuff, sometimes you got to back. My children have tried me in my home. 2 of them are now gone. I got 2 more kids left in my home. They try me on a daily basis. And sometimes I have to just drop my head and be like, Lord Jesus, please. And I suffer with a few disabilities. So my kids take advantage of that. They do. That's what kids do. I'm going to tell you right now, kids take advantage of every weak moment a parent have, especially if they want to do something they don't want the parent to know. That is the normal thing that teenagers do. But at the same time, you should not know what your kid's not doing at any time, like building bombs and going out on killing sprees, and you don't know anything about your kids. You got to know, like my kids tell Mike, it's no such thing as my kids have privacy. Mom, that's none of your business. Oh, everything about you is my business. Everything about you. I have 2 more teenagers live in my home right now. 2 teenagers, back-to-back teenagers. They're not even a year apart. And yes, I was busy when I was younger. I was a fertile myrtle. So I got 2 kids in my home right now. I tell my kids, I say, oh, you want to be stupid? Oh, yes, they got cell phones. I can control their cell phone from my cell phone. If I feel like I want to tap into their stuff, there's no, oh, you can't tap into my phone. You want to make a bet? Do you want to make a bet? All I got to do is call Verizon, tell them, send me a copy of every text message, what time he logged in and out of Instagram, everything. Do you want to test me? And one of my kids actually tested me, and I cut their phone off. They was like, Mama, are you serious? I said, I'm dead serious. You know what I'm saying? Don't think because I'm 42, I don't know what to do with phones. Like, baby, I sit there and work through my own phone. If I could sit there, right now, I could go through my phone and turn off everybody's phone in the house. If you feel like your children are doing something, if you feel like the behavior and your kids is just changing and all this other stuff, you need to sit down and talk. I don't want to talk about it. And they all secretive and they constantly changing. And all of a sudden, I'm gonna tell you, especially in girls, this is what they do. When they're being pressured into doing something they are not comfortable with or whatever, these are teenagers. Their behavior start changing. The first behavior they change and the first person they turn on is the mother. I got 3 daughters. Listen to me. I got 3 daughters. 3. The first person they change on, not the mom. Why are you up there doing this? I'm like, okay, first of all, bring it down a whole lot before I hit you so fast in your mouth until I don't even know I hit you until I see your lip juice on my fist. Don't yell at me because I do have a tick about people raising their voice at me. I don't do that because I was once abused by men too. So I did not know that. My therapist told me, and I said, when would this ever go away? She said, a woman that has been physically abused, they have behaviors that will never go away. Like when I'm asleep in my bed, I'm married, and when I'm sleeping in my bed and stuff, my kids know not to touch me. For some reason, when they touch me, I wake up swinging, pop out, kick. That's because I was in an abusive relationship. I'll tell y'all more about that later. But that's one of my glitches. It's like a something. It's like, especially from a man. My son, he'll yell at me. I said, I'm gonna need you to bring that down real quick. I'm gonna need to bring it down right now because I could see my foot just boom, and that's one of the side effects of a woman being abused by a man multiple times. And I didn't know. And I said, and I've been to therapy so many times that when they said sometimes it don't go away, it's just something that's just there. It's just like a side effect now of abuse. Like when somebody touch me, my kids have to touch me and run, or they will yell my name if they want to wake me up out of my sleep. They have to yell my name from the doorway. They would not come close to the bed because I come up, and I'm a big woman. As you can see my face, I'm a big woman. I come up like a 120-pound woman, get to swinging. And that was because I was in an abusive relationship. Now, you know what I'm saying? So back to their behavior changing, you know what I'm saying? You got to pay attention to all that. And I'm going to tell you on a spiritual flip side, the devil is taking these kids out. I ain't never in my life seen so many kids dying by the hands of their own parents. Little kids, newborns. You know what I'm saying? You hear horror stories on YouTube and everything. And I'm like, you got to pray. Especially if you have unruly kids in your house. Lord, please, I'm telling you, prayer works. I'm feeling this with everything I got within me right now. I promise you I'm feeling this with all my heart. And I feel as I'm talking, and when I put this video up, you know what I'm saying? I hope this reached somebody and they said, you got to pray. These kids are listening to demonic music. They listening to all this stuff, and the devil's sending them messages through this music. Now, I'm not saying that they wasn't doing this when I was younger, because yes, it was. But this music is way different from the music we listen to. I listen to some of the lyrics in this music, and I'm 42, and I feel when I say, oh no, y'all can't play that music in my house. Oh no, Mama, what's wrong with it? Do you not hear Satan in that? They don't hear it. They don't hear it. You got to have an ear. Just not this ear. I'm talking about you got to have that extra little something that everybody don't have. And you can they wouldn't have dare set this in the music when we was younger. They would have booped that out. They don't listen. These celebrities, these rappers, these artists, these up and coming demonic artists don't care anything about your kids. That stuff going to them. Now these kids want to do what they see these celebrities and stuff is doing. Now they bringing that behavior into your house. And you got to learn and pay attention to your kids' behavior. Now, when I was a teenager, they used to blame you see white kids killing themselves because they was listening to certain heavy metal, demonic rock artists. And then, as it went on, they started to say rap music was the cause of violence in black people. No, because Black Panthers and all of them is older than rap music, so you gotta, stop lying. But what I'm saying is this: get into what your kids are listening to, who they're around, all this other stuff. It's more to loving your kids and buying them a lot of clothes, making sure their hair tight. I'm not gonna lie, I did spoil my kids because of the simple fact the way I was raised. But sometimes I had to pull back and get them a little of what how I was raised. Not the bad part, but the part where if I suffer, you suffer. Ain't nothing wrong with you going without. Oh, girl, I thought that was a spider. I'm scared of bugs, y'all. There's nothing wrong with your kids going without sometimes. It's okay. It's okay to tell your kids no sometimes because you can also mess them up by giving them everything. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it took me years to give my kids iPhones. I just bought them iPhones last year on my son's birthday, because they was getting older. Now, a phone really is not a luxury anymore. It's too much stuff happening out here in this world. Like, it's too much stuff happening out here in this world. You have to, them phones are a necessity. My son, if he don't do nothing else, he said, Mama, I call in and check so you know why I'm cool, I'm fine, okay. All right then, baby. My daughter texts me all the time, what you doing? What you this, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. They was on top of that. I don't have to ask them. But when your kids stop doing the stuff, the norm, like that's normal for my kids to do that. When they stop doing that, your parenting is supposed to go up 3 more notches. And your kid, and you be like, nah, Junior ain't spoke to me. Your kids can be dead. I tell my kids, listen, put on the location because my kids have iPhones. I'm not an iPhone person. And with iPhones, you know what I'm saying? By them being on my plan, I can find out whatever they go. I said, baby, you don't have to tell me anything. All I got to do is locate you. Don't think I don't know. Mama knows. Don't think I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a hip hop mom. I'm too old. I'll be 43 years old. I've been a mother I've been a mother ever since I was 20 years old. I done lived the life. People say, you ain't that old. No, I'm not that old, but I'm too old to be doing some of the stupidest stuff that some of the people doing my age nowadays. Like, give it up. Especially if you got kids and they're grown and you trying to hang with them. I look just as young. I look like her sister, don't I? No, you don't. No, like me, normally, like me, to me, I look like I'm 42. Some people like, girl, you don't even look. Because the police, I was having problems out of my daughter the other day. And I'm sitting on the porch, I'm looking every bit of a grandmama. Like, and I'm not even a grandmother. I know I had on a robe, a gown and stuff. And the police said, where's the parent? I'm looking at him like, oh, that's so sweet. It's me. I ain't pretend like, oh, she's not here right now because I want to be young. No, this is me. It's me. I'm the mom. What's up? You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, with my child, that I'm having problems with, I literally had to do a civil matter because the police couldn't do anything. And I literally had to make a stand. Now I'm gonna tell you what I did. I might get a lot of, whatever. I want you to come in. Fine, that's fine. Do what you got to do. But when the police said this is a civil matter, we can't do nothing about this. And my daughter is now an adult. This is the second child that's an adult. And they was like, I said, okay. The child that I'm talking about, let me explain something to y'all. She is very, very, very disrespectful, unruly. She has issues, but that's not a reason. I have issues too, and I don't go around. And I didn't disrespect my mama, because trust me, even though my mother had issues, she didn't play that. I wouldn't have none of my teeth in the front. None of them. I would have been whistling, spitting, spit all over this camera. Be like, please, y'all would have been like, man, please don't do no more YouTube because we can't even see you because of the slob. Just go get your mouth fixed and come back. And we love you. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do them things because my mom would backhand you if your voice was at a library level. My mother didn't play at all. Trust me. An abuser never played. And my mother, they used to call her the black Hitler. That's how, mean and stuff my mother was. My mother was very mean, very mean. I was scared of her. We was all petrified of our mother, my mother. So my daughter was talking to me like I was a child. I wasn't even a child of God and everything like that. And you know what? As a parent, from my background that I just told y'all about, you know how, I'm in transition right now where I'm turning my life over to God. It's not easy when you're trying to do it right. When you trying to turn your life over to God and you truly mean it in your heart, the devil know it too, because he gonna throw everything at you that he possibly can. I seen a vision of this. God showed me a vision when I decided to do something. I'll tell y'all about it when I do it. And literally, I mean, ooh, child, the things that done went on and that happened to me. I was supposed to be in jail. I was supposed to be making a YouTube a video saying I just got out. You know, um, I thank y'all for the prayers, and I'm gonna go home and sleep in a real bed. Some things that happened to me. That's how I know God is working on me, because I was very, very mean, and I'm still. I tell anybody I have an anger problem. That's why I don't associate with a lot of people, because I don't want to be that way. I'm not a nasty person. I cook. I would do for a person that need me. I just can't tolerate the disrespect. And my daughter was standing that disrespect and the calmness. I had a friend on the phone when she was standing up there. I mean, they was hearing people was calling me like, "You mean to tell me you can't get in your own house?" This is what happened. She called the police on me. I called police on her. She left the day before. We had got into it real bad. I'm to my bad. Well, we physical contact. So I said, no, it's time for you to go. Okay, it's time for you to go. I can't do this. And this is the child that I've been trying to put up with ever since she was a little girl. Well, she loved me. I love her. We just cannot live together. Let me tell y'all parents before I go any further with the story. Because you gave birth to that child does not mean that you two are going to get along. It doesn't mean that. And this is an age-old problem. This is not something that started yesterday or the day before. This is a thing that goes on a lot between a mother and a daughter. So back to the story. She called the police. We both outside. I had on my robe. I had on a thick terry robe, a nightgown, and I had my head covered up, set over my head, and I had my plug. Thank God, because the temperature had dropped really, really bad where I am, like bad, and it dropped real low. It was cold. It was cold, and I suffer with arthritis. I've been having arthritis since I was a teenager. It got worse as I gained the weight and had kids and whatever. But anywho, I was outside. I had my phone. I told my son to lock the door. The police said that because she lived here, you can't just kick her ass. It's called squatters' rights. So you mean tell me I could go to the grocery store, come back, and somebody could be sitting in my house because I went to the store and to my squatters' rights and I don't know this person? That's called trespassing. Last time I checked, it was called trespassing. Am I right or wrong? So you mean to tell me, because this swatter thing is going on really, really bad, but because I did allow my child to stay here or whatever, it's a civil matter, even though she's an adult. Now they tell you, oh, you got to take care of your child until they turn 18. That's the law. Okay. But when they turn 18 and you trying to put them out, oh, it's a civil matter. It is. Okay, cool. So this is what I did. And, she wasn't going to get back in my house by any means necessary. So let me tell you something about Down to Earth Nikki. Down to Earth Nikki, when she's going to stand on something, ain't nothing you can do about it. Police, nothing. I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to stand on what I know is right. Now, let me get that straight. If I'm sitting up there and finna shoot and doing the standoff, then, I'm finna get shot. Like, all you have to do is drop the gun. No, I ain't want to drop the gun. No, that's crazy. I'm talking about I had to literally text my son to tell him to lock all my doors because she wasn't getting back in the house. I'm sitting outside thinking I had a little chair outside on my porch. I'm sitting outside in a gown, a robe, and everything. Because she told me, oh, I'm getting back in this house. And I said, not this time. You're not coming back in my house. If it's a civil matter, then you're not getting back in this house. So we both stand out there cold. Now, I'm a diabetic. I haven't eaten anything or nothing. But she wasn't getting back in that house. And I had to really use the bathroom. She wasn't getting back in that house. We literally sat out there. I said, I could have came back in. I could have used aggressive behavior. My son, mind you, like I said, I could have texted my son could have came and removed her. She barely 5 feet. Hi, this is Down to Earth Nikki. I had forgot to add in my videos, but I would like for y'all, if you enjoy the conversations that I'm bringing, like and subscribe to my channel. But this video warned you that it's broken up into 3. So, because I'm still learning how to do this, so bear with me, but I'll be right back.